So, hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Best of Burgess. Joining me this week is former Burgess juvenile and senior club chairman PJ Hogan. PJ, how are you?
I'm fine. How's yourself?
Not too bad at all. Now, PJ, I suppose just looking out the window here this evening, it's a lovely evening for a match, and I suppose you're someone I'd always kind of associate with being at every Burgess match going. So you must be kind of raring to get back to the field, I suppose.
Yeah, but I suppose we had our day over there with young lads and that, so it's up to somebody else now. But it's nice at the same. It's great to see young lads going out and that, and it's better to see them tied up this time of the year, anyway.
Yeah. So if we're looking at yourself, PJ, when would you have first got kind of up to the field and involved with the club?
I suppose I was just thinking about it there. It was around 84, 85 or that. And Donny became chairman, I think, in 85. And Lee, my brother-in-law, became secretary. And the club had a fairly hefty debt at the time. And they decided they were going to just raffle a car. And Donny got on to Liam to recruit people, and he came after me anyway. I suppose I was working in that sort of business sales and that.
Yeah.
And they came on to me to help out with the fundraising for the car and for the debt at the time. So we ran with the car anyway, and we went all over the country selling tickets.
Sure.
And we even went, I was just thinking about it today, myself, Marty Hogan, Liam, and Danny Doherty, we went to the Listowel races. And we were there the first day anyway, and we spent the day selling. And the second day, we had nowhere to stay that night. We were in a pub. Marty didn't drink at all, but myself and Liam weren't talking anyway. And we had nowhere to stay anyway. We were well full anyway, coming closing time. And Marty was there. Marty wasn't the type of worry anyway. And Barney was having pints as well. The eyes were popping out of his head. But we met Ned Coney in Ballyvalan, and he knew a fella that was involved in dogs. He lived at the window and all that. Listowel Road, going into Listowel from the Limerick side.
Yeah.
He hadn't agreed to let us in anyway. And Marty and Liam got in the door first, and your man was living on his own, and all that. I think the wife was left him or something. But we went in anyway, and there was 2 single beds, and Marty and Liam got in first, and then for the 2 single beds in the room. And I had to sleep with Barney anyway in a double bed. My honest memory in my head about Barney is he had a big orange underpants in him. He was nearly luminous. You didn't brand the light. Luminous in the dark. But talking about Marty, we were selling tickets, and Marty was there, and there was a fella there was meant to be a big crowd at the Listowel races, but Marty was selling to this fella anyway. This fella was selling for something else, and he asked Marty to buy a ticket. And Barney was there with his northern accent. He was having a problem selling tickets for the Burgess Hurling Club, as he was because of his northern accent. We're wondering was it the Oaks or what. But anyway, Marty was selling your man a ticket. So the agreement was Marty buy a ticket off your man would buy a ticket off of Marty. So Marty was writing out your man's name anyway, and your man asked Marty his name. And if you notice with Marty, there's a resemblance to a certain man called Jerry Adams at Marty. Your man was there beside Marty anyway, and he says to Marty, "What's your name?" And Liam stuck in his head, and he says, "Jerry Adams, Belfast." And your man jumped back. That's the story. We went across from there then to Lisdoonvarna. We went across the ferry from Tarbert to Killaimer. And we spent the evening in Lisdoonvarna. The first fellow we met walking up the street in Lisdoonvarna was the late Joe Lawler. But we made a good few quid, like. But
yeah,
funny.
You went on a right tour there
with the Derry accent.
Yeah, geez, he must have made a right few quid anyway for the club doing that, I'd imagine.
Oh, we did. Yeah. Well, we went all over the country with that time, like. And
yeah.
I think it took a fair chunk out of the debt, and halved it or more than that. We made about 20,000 out of the car.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was a parish collection, and we decided we'd go with it. And somebody asked me to know, how would you know what to ask anyone for when you go to the door? I said to them, there's only one way you do that. Tell them what you're giving yourself. And it's up to them what to give after that. So tell them enough.
Yeah.
Are the worse than you or better than you? Didn't
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
So
The pressure's on
the
them.
debt was cleared anyway with that the parish collection. And when it came to it, the interest in the 80s was massive. Like you're talking about 15, 16%.
Crazy.
But there was massive interest in that money and it was accumulated for ages. But we decided, or I said it at a meeting, I said, once we collected the money in the parish, we'll go in with what we had and tell the bank that it was the AIB, that's that, like.
Yeah.
We got, that we weren't going to pay all the interest.
Yeah.
And some people didn't approve of that. They were in we'd insult the bank at the time. People thought the bank was the bank, It is like all the institutions, the way the bottom was falling. So I said to Mike, win myself if he won't win, but people didn't want me going in. So they went in and they got the debt cleared, and that was that. And it was done and dusted and over in a year or two.
So that was your first kind of time being involved with the club. You didn't be involved when you were a young lad, let's say.
No, I was away a lot of my young days,
Yeah.
I was always somewhere else,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into that.
So then, I suppose from doing this, all right, we were talking to Shane Maher and Peter Carroll, and they mentioned you in kind of the kind of, I suppose, late 80s, early 90s in the juvenile club. You became chairman, did you?
Yeah, that was 92. I was chairman 92, 93, 94 and 95. I came in, it was fairly, people were on, and McGrath came in. She was asked to be chairperson, and I think Anne said this, and someone said something about me being secretary, but me and Penn weren't the best of friends. But I met Anne anyway. We discussed it. So I said, Anne, you do secretary, I'll do chairman. And we got Breda Duggan to do treasurer.
Yeah.
And we started from there anyway. And I remember we going down one time to Killadangan. Seamus Hayes, the late Seamus Hayes, he was a great man in Killadangan club. And I'd say all the success Killadangan had, he started a lot of it with his coaching and it was all hurling coaching with Seamus.
Yeah.
And Tom Kerwin at the shop as well had a lot to do with that. But we went down and played him in hurling anyway, and we were fair bad. It was so bad that we called off the hurling at half time playing them, and we played them in football from second half. But anyway, I remember saying to Dennis Maher coming off the field, because before that, Liam, my brother-in-law, had been involved and started the Camogie club, and he had a lot of success at that, and he was the founder, I suppose, of the Camogie club at Burgess. But I sort of helped out a bit in that as well, I suppose. But anyway, we collected our own money and ran our own show, and we bought slitters and hurleys, and we coached them morning, noon, and night. It was 3 in a line and backs and forwards. And we came on and up along, and we won and lost. And I suppose the peak of our hurling was we filled into we bought the biggest crowd ever to McDonough Park for the replay against Templederry in the under 16 B final. We drew the first day. It was the match of the year.
Yeah. And
we beat them in the replay, but they had beaten us in the same age group under 14 2 years previously. And they should have gone up to 8, but they didn't want to go. But I remember being at the meeting inside the inn and saying that we'd welcome them back to B because we wanted to crack them. There was a bit of need. I think they had to discuss it with Peter Carroll about under 12.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that infamous North final.
About somebody, but we beat him in under 16 and we won the county final. And but the man that ref that match, I'd like to mention him, Johnny McDonnell and Michael Cahill. He was himself and Johnny McDonnell were two of the best refs I think I ever saw, and it's a pity when it comes to refereeing in the GA that these people haven't used more. Johnny McDonnell is still with us. Michael Cahill, unfortunately, is gone.
Yeah.
But he refed that game, and it was Mark Rabiz wrote the report in the Guardian, I think, and it was fascinating hurling. We had them piped to the last. I'd say we were one of the first. We done video analysis of the drawing game for the replay.
Jesus, ahead of your time.
I remember Paul Hogan. He was above, and we were upstairs in Kilcoyman in the back room. And Paul was talking anyway about something someone else done wrong. But I nearly ate him. He was not paying attention after it.
So that team would have came up from like under 12C, I think, to minor A. Like that's a serious
that's right.
kind of growth.
And we went up to Mivara bet that team in minor A semi-final by a pint.
Yeah.
And Noel Statsy skimmed the post with the last puck of the match against them. He and they won the county final handy afterwards. And then that team came up after, and we bet to Mivara under 21A, not final.
Yeah.
In Clap Jordan. We drew with them the first day. They were missing Benny Dunn and John O'Brien the first day. I remember Packy Devaney worked inside the creamery with me at the time. And Tom Stahl gave me footballs coming out for the show. He got them off of some chemical crowd or something. But Packy saw me with Packy being two-man. Packy saw me with the footballs and he told me I could play with them in the sideline while two were betting us in the replay. So we bet them. So you can imagine there was a bit of noise the following Monday morning after that, around the Packy told him to send me home.
I can imagine, yeah. But geez, like that team, was it just a great crop of players that came along, or like what was it that kind of saw them go from C to A?
They were very young, a lot of them. The following year, Burgess beat us in the first round. I don't know what became of us. But most of them were well underage. Timmy Shaw was only 18, 19, Brian Duggan, Shane Maher, all them fellas. They were only young lads.
Yeah.
And Niall McGrath goes, Brian Hogan, they had years in them at that time,
Yeah.
And that was the first one. But even, it was a breakthrough. Under 16, we had won. Oh no, that was after. They won an A.
Yeah.
But we were bet by Kappa White after that. They were betting the semi-final. John Gleeson scored a famous goal, hit the stanch in the back of the net. It was on telly days, show at that time on TG Car.
Yeah.
And it came back after the stanch in the back of the net.
Yeah, I've heard lots about that, all right. And then when you kind of, when I suppose like Timmy and the likes kind of went out to juvenile, you followed on then to the kind of senior club and took over as chairman.
Yeah, but I don't know how it came about. Like Kieran Hogan and Andrew were chairman. After Andrew and Kieran Hogan.
Yeah.
And then Johnny didn't stay too long, I think. And the people asked me would I do it, so I done it. And I done it for 4 years. And I tell you, we raised some serious money in them 4 years. We ran 2 auctions. And we made about 26,000 each auction. And we ran a race night in the Five Valley. And I remember Tom Hogan, the horsey man, bought Charlie Swan to it. And Don Duggan, Breda's husband, he bought a lot of horsey men to it.
Yeah.
Gamblers. And it was in the Five Valley. And by Jesus, did they spend money that night? That over mad. The only unfortunate thing was the guards came about 1 o'clock. We had them rightly on the pile. We had the right people. We had Pat Griffin and Eddie Gleeson, and these fellas collected the money off them, and they were well able to win the show. Yeah. I remember that night as John Duggan had fellas send me down 3 pints below in the corner. But we made 26 or 7,000, and then we got lotto money. And we tarmacked Kilcoleman with it. And Martin Dunn and Liz Howard, I'd say, were the 2 principal people in the pushing of the lotto money that time.
Yeah.
Liz might pull another time before the ball had come or after it going or maybe high. But I tell you, when she wanted to get something done, she got it done. She was telling us that time that there was that much lotto money available. And we had Martin Dunn and working with the department of that, and he knew the ropes well from his job and all that crack. And 33,000, I think, came up. And we tarmacked from the road right in. And Ger Hickey of Port Louis he done the drainage in it. He dug a drain right down from the back of the car park right down to the river. And he done a perfect job in it. And some of the Port Louis guys were very good to us. The first 3 we cut in the auctions, I always remember Mike Maloney and the late Patsy Ryan. They cut the first 3 for us. Malone, Ballyrush, and Robert Gill gave it to us.
Yeah.
And who's this? Mike Helibert, Noel Helibert. They came and graded the yard, which was in a hurry to get it ready. And I remember I had to get John Donoghue. I took a few days off work to get John Donoghue to get the yard finished. He came down with a digger or something and finished it off.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of work went into it, but a lot of people worked fierce hard. The likes of, I tell you, that Carroll was the site that time. We'd get a tree somewhere, and again you would say to Carroll, we'll cut that Saturday. You'd meet Carroll Friday evening. Oh, I cut that. That's cut since he was ahead of the schedule.
Yeah.
He was some worker, and there was a lot of people worked very hard, and a lot of them young fellas worked very hard, and they loaded timber and split and everything else. I see a photograph. I was looking at Bridget's book today. So Hannigan done the auctioneer, I think, for the second auction, and there was timber everywhere. And I had good connections with the creamery at the time with people that were supplying stuff in chemicals, fertilizer companies, and all that. And we got a lot of stuff out of them, and we were making serious money. So between it all, I'd say in the 4 years, we raised 130,000.
Some money to raise.
That's when we put in the gas heating and the windows and all that stuff.
And there's some serious work that goes in, and I know even from when Dad was chairman and getting phone calls every night of the week and that sort of thing. Like, is it something you look back on and you enjoyed those years as chairman?
You would, I suppose, but you want a fair thick skin for a job that way,
Yeah.
People, you'd be amazed at the little snigs you'd get along the road. You'd have to be able to ride them out, and maybe back as but you'd enjoy it, but it was a lot of hard work. Like with myself and the wife, we had a big family, and even with the young lads that time, I'd fill the car, the boot, and she wouldn't even get a lift. She'd have to get a lift to Delhi and Howard for me.
I've heard lots about this car.
I don't know how she put up with me, to be quite honest.
I've heard lots about this car and bringing lads training. It must have been some old motor of a yoke.
Oh, geez, I remember someone threw tuckers only out at the back of the car one evening. There was World War III broke out. So us together, they couldn't fight.
Yeah.
But we always insisted in the juvenile club that kept a close eye. There was no bullying or no nothing. Everybody was treated the same. And this photograph there, and I counted, I think there's 70 young lads in it that were in the field at the time. And you had people working. And Martin Dunn came after me then in the juvenile club as chairman. And Martin was a good disciplinarian and ran a great show. And I think from under 12 to under 21 in A, we won North, and we won an under 12A football county and an under 16A hurling.
Yeah.
And that was Pat Freeman and John Hogan and John Maher and Denis Darcy. And these people, they put in a lot of work at the time.
I think that underage success really sets all those players went on and played with Burgess for 20 odd years and have very successful. It's very important.
The big regret is we never won a not senior title. We were in 2 finals against Killadangan and Nina. And I think the year we missed the boat was the year Killarwan beat us the county final. We bet them in the North final. And we sort of threw that away. That wasn't a great Killarwan team. And that was 2003. If we had to get up that time, we'd have been a lot stronger in senior hurling, because we'd have had 2 years. And a lot of fellas went away. And I suppose if you were to count the amount of players that we missed out between injuries and this and that there were serious that went away and were injured.
Yeah, and sure, we need all the numbers. I suppose we wouldn't typically have huge numbers, so we kind of need everyone staying around.
We had the numbers that time, so we were in 6 junior A finals in them times. Junior A now.
Yeah,
we won 3, and we had a team that time that had nearly won the intermediate now if they were playing junior.
Yeah.
We had some great games in the junior A at that time.
That would have been the team at the early 2000s, would it? With
it could be,
John Darcy would have been on
it. John Darcy had been the daddy of them, and I suppose Darryl Tucker as well played a bit with them.
Yeah. And then I suppose if we look at some of the questions, your best Burgess memory, do you have anything that kind of comes to mind straight away when you see that?
I suppose you have to take the under 16B against Templederry, the replay.
Yeah.
The under 12A football winning the county final, and and winning the North under 21 A hurling in '99, I think, stands out. Although we won more of them afterwards.
Yeah.
And in the beating Tommyvara in the North senior semi-final in 2008, and that was those games stand out a mile anyway. And I suppose winning the under 16A county final, beating Thomas Sarsfields, was a big one as well.
Yeah.
It
So
stand out.
if we look at scores, then your best Burgess goal, is there any goal that's when you think the best Burgess goal is anyone
like
popped your head?
And you'll never guess who scored it.
Well,
Pat Tucker.
Pat Tucker.
Against Knoxie inside the Nina. If you remember the match.
I'm not sure.
Brilliant game. I remember
Yeah.
Liam Hogan, the Gov, wrote the report in the Guardian, and he said senior hurlers should look at it. It was a brilliant game. But we were leading Knoxie well, and Knoxie came back as us after half time, and they had us on the run. And Niall McGrath took out the ball, and Pat caught it about 60 yards out, straight down the middle of Knoxie. And you know what it's like to go through the middle of Knoxie. You don't get through. You might
come back out alive
before you even think about it. Yeah. But that went straight through anyway, from about 25 yards. He roofed it, he buried it, and we bet him well finishing up.
Yeah,
turned the whole game. I had shocked Knoxie, but plus some goal.
That's a good one now. Yeah,
that was myself and Pat had many an outing together. Yeah. But when he turned it on, he could turn it on. But when he turned it off, he could turn it off too. But I tell you, he got some goals in his time. What a juvenile and senior level. I remember he scored another one inside against Pillar One, inside Nino and then senior the 40 minutes or so. I jumped up and cut the ball into the square and turned around and buried it.
Yeah.
It was in the net.
Yeah, I barely remember Pa hurling now. All right, he had the yellow helmet and he was quick. There are the two things I can remember anyway from him. I suppose best Burgess score, is there any kind of score that pops out?
That, and I suppose I remember Stephen Murray scored the year Porto won the North senior title.
2012, I think, is it?
We threw it away. We threw it away against. We threw it away against Portsakane below. But Murray, we had only 13. Damien O'Brien and Brian Hogan were put off the same evening. We bet him with 13. I heard Pat Carroll that evening was on about the baker's dozen after some of the four fellas weren't so happy with it. Stephen Murray scored the winning point from the sideline that evening.
I remember that well, yeah.
Pressure, and we won it by 1 point.
I remember that he got the ball and kind of soloed down the sideline. There was two or three lads chased him, and one of them hacked him down.
Yeah, but that was the winning of it.
Yeah. I suppose, is there a game you'd like to watch again?
Oh, there is a good few of them. I'd say the under 16B against Derry, the under 21A against Tommyvara, and the North semi-final against Tommyvara, and them are the games that really stand out with me, like, because come up, these fellas come up. There was a thing about we bet the best. We bet Thomas Sarsfields in the first year, I think, after coming up, and
we did, yeah.
And that was some display by Burgess as well that evening. I remember Shane Maher set the standard that evening on Red Zone. He wasn't exactly waiting for the ball to be thrown in before he started that parade. Red Zone was in a state of shock, I'd say. Yeah,
laid down a marker early.
All that evening, and Tony Scoop had an exceptional game the same evening, full forward. I think he scored 3 goals or something.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, and then some of the questions we have are a Burgess hurler that you think should have played with Tip but never did.
Also, the one that is Stephen Murray, I suppose.
Yeah,
like he's nearly been the top scorer, in club hurling there for a few years. Like he's a scoring machine, like
Yeah,
he doesn't shoot unless he thinks he's on. Like he has tremendous ability.
Yeah,
and I suppose Tony's group could have got on too. Like when Tony's group was on song, he was a fair operator.
Yeah, serious, and a big loss when he retired as well.
Yeah.
And then if we look at you were talking earlier about the nights down in Listowel and that, and Lisdoonvarna, is there a best Burgess night out you can remember?
I suppose after we beaten in the North under 21 half final in the first when we won in '99. We had a fair night after that, but I was at work the following day anyway, and I got a phone call from Pat Carroll to come to Reedy's. The Rabbit was around now, and Carroll had a hefty bet with the Rabbit. And that was bringing out the money that we were going to spend it. So I went to Reedy's, and I didn't want to go. It was after dinner or sometime, but I ended up it was a fair the June anyway, the Rabbit's money. But fair play to the Rabbit, he came out back and lifted up the couch. He gave it well, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, I'd say the creamery got some use out of you that week, so
don't be saying that.
One of the questions here is the best heckle you've heard at a match. Is there any kind of one that stands out to you?
Well, I won't give names, but it was a heckle I heard. I don't know how it took place, but it was a certain Tipperary player. He had won All Ireland. He was talking to a certain Burgess supporter. And no matter what the Tipperary hurler said, the Burgess supporter contradicted him. So the Tipperary hurler, he had won All Ireland, this Tipperary hurler. So, and everything he said anyway. So he got sick of the Burgess man contradicting him anyway. And he says to the Burgess man, many All Irelands have you. And the reply he got is, if I had one more, I'd have as many as you have. So people probably know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, I think I heard that one before. All right, yeah. Then we look at if we look at, I suppose, the time that made you cry. I suppose you were talking about maybe the 2008 or 2014 North finals. Is there any other one maybe that stands out? I know you mentioned Killer One in
2003. 2003 county final.
Yeah,
that stings, because I reckon if we got up that time, we'd have done a lot more business.
And that game, were we well back? I
suppose the day we played, the year in 2008, we were in hard luck. Brian Hogan or Timmy in the last minute against Tommy Vera, and he was hurling out of his skin at the time. He ran against Benny Dunn, and he put out his SCL.
Yeah,
and then we played Overs at the challenge match below on Mallow before the North final, and Brian Hogan done the same thing. When the two of them started the North final, Brian Hogan didn't last 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour. He had to go off.
Yeah,
and he was hurling out his skin at the time as well. And Timmy lasted well into the second half, so he ran against somebody, and he had to go. We were up 8 points at that stage in that match. It sort of upset the rhythm at the team. Anyway, I'm not saying that he was going to win it or lose it from, but he'd be flaking away in the middle of the field anyway.
Yeah. And the 2003 match, were we well bet that day? Like, I obviously don't really remember that match, but what way did that kind of go?
Yeah, Kilruan, we bet Kilruan in the North final. And Kilruan brought in Eamon O'Shea between the North final and the county final to train him. And Eamon, he done no and that. And he put out a few rumours as well, and this and that and other thing. And Kilruan were hell bent on that. Was win or bust, because there was a bit of hassle coming out after half time. I think that our players were sort of ambushed coming out after half time and upset them, and things went sort of wrong. And maybe we were over cocky as well.
Yeah.
Our supporters and that, and getting too close to the dressing room and all that sort of thing. And, we weren't mentally prepared for it, I'd say.
Yeah. And what were we bet by first?
We were bet by 2 or 3 points, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. And then
but we didn't hurl that day at all, and we started well enough. We missed score starting off, and if we had to get them, I'd say we'd have put hurling. Because Kilruan, now I'm not going down or anything, but they weren't hectic at the time. But they squeezed everything they had out of the team, and we didn't squeeze a quarter out of ours that day. Yeah.
And then I suppose, and if we look at more, I suppose, positive moments, is there a time that made you laugh, or a time that sticks out, a funny memory from being around the club?
Well, that makes me laugh, but I'd be very happy when Burgess won. I suppose the day we bet Tommy Vara in the North Senior semi-final inside Nina. That was the happiest day, because I had helped so much. Everyone was there. People told me, I remember we started playing Tommy Vara in challenge matches first in juvenile. And people saying to me, you shouldn't be going down there. Tommy Vara would be on the demoralising. You would be beating you so much.
Yeah.
And because Neil Willems had done fantastic work with Kilruane, and you'd like to get a look at what way he's operating and that. But I remember Kevin Cummins, he was some juvenile hurler with Tuppy, and Jason Seymour and Pellis was playing with us. But Cummins was trying it anyway, and they were beating as well. It was a challenge match. But he was passing Seymour at him. And I was refereeing the match. It was only a challenge match. But Seymour stuck out the Holly and my right dog passing anyway. But the home crowd went mad in the sideline. I didn't even give free against Seymour because I was sick of looking at him going by us the whole. And Seymour passed back after. What do you think of that? He says, I said to him, you can't beat breathing. I said. And that was it. But it started from there. But we started beating them anyway, underage and that. We bet them under 16. We bet them minor. We were robbed under 12 and under 14 against them.
Yeah.
We bet them under 21. And we bet a lot of the senior teams, the Kilruanes, the Borrisalees, the sacred teams, the Rogues, that are the Sarsfields and that. And we had good days against them and beating them underage and that.
Yeah. And then going to matches, PJ, would you have any sort of superstitions at all now? Would you be one to, I know some people have to sit in the same place and that kind of thing. What would you be like?
I wouldn't have any of that. My belief always was be well prepared.
Yeah.
That's nothing else. Prepare well, and you'll perform well.
Yeah. And then another question is, so if we're looking at the Burgess team right now, and if you could have any player in the country join the team from anywhere in the country, who would you pick and why?
Oh, that sticks out like a sore thumb. Noel McGrath. I often sat into my car on a Sunday and wherever Lockmore would be playing to go to see him hurling. He gets some service to Lockmore and some service to Tipperary. He's striking, his vision, his everything. The pass he gave last Harvard in 2010, the ball he puts into the forwards is unreal. I think Liam Sheedy, the best decision he ever made was the day he put him out centre field. Yeah. Because I remember the beat Hogan in a county final, and he just took the game by the scruff of the neck and started popping balls over. He can do it from 90 yards in, like. And it isn't any Mickey Mouse hurling. It's fast. You'll never see Noel McGrath on the solo run.
No, true, actually,
quick the whole time. It's left and right, and the way he puts the ball into forwards. I love watching him hurling.
Same, yeah. He has the kind of style of hurling as well that he could play for years because he doesn't. He's nearly always in the right place at the right time. He's never caught out of position or that sort of thing. I
don't know. He plays football, he plays hurling, he plays everything, and no complaints. And you never see him in Castle or anything that way. He's a real. He's something. He's like pottery motion. Yeah.
Yeah. No, geez, I wouldn't mind him on the team now myself either. But then if we're looking at one of the questions is if you're down by 2 points, last puck of the game, and you win a 21-yard free, you can have any Burgess hurler, whoever hurled, to take the 21-yard free and go for goal. Who would you pick?
Oh, sure. I suppose I'm giving away my age, but it has to be Donny Nealon. Like, he was a goal machine when he was hurling with the Prairie. I saw him hurling a lot, and he had the nerve and the killer instinct to go for it, and he'd psych you out of it, like, and he'd be the man. Yeah.
And what was Donny like to watch as a hurler now? Because obviously I've only seen clips and that sort, but what was he like to watch playing with Burgess?
62, I suppose, was his greatest year in the All-Ireland final against Wexford. He gave an exhibition. He got hurler of the year that year.
Yeah.
But Donny was totally focused when he was hurling. He was switched into the last. Like, I often heard him talking, go where you think the ball is going to come and all that thing. And he was a perfectionist, like, and of course he was on a great team, like. But he was some hurler.
Yeah, geez, I would have loved to have seen him now, or I'm sure there's probably more footage I could get up and have a look. But if we're looking then, your Burgess dream team, have you done out of 1 to 15?
No, I wouldn't do that because there's too many. I know too many people, like, going back. There's about 3 eras I could talk about because you couldn't fit them in. There were different eras, different that. You go back to, I can remember nearly from the 50s on, and there's too many. Like, you take Liam Hogan, the late Liam Hogan that died, Jim Barry, all these fellas, and then the modern fellas and that, you nearly have to pick a team out of the modern fellas and out of the middle and out of the the earlier times, they're two completely different things.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of Burgess hurling, I suppose, down through the years, so it makes it even harder.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Well, it is, I wouldn't, there's so many fellas, like the amount of fellas that have All-Ireland medals in the parish, both minor, intermediate and senior, it scares you when you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
And, Munster under 21s and that as well, like I see a list of them and Burgess, even Mackie McKenna should hold with Burgess. He has 4 All-Irelands.
Yeah.
And you could pick a county team out of it, people would laugh at you for saying that, but when you think about it,
yeah,
they're there, like.
I suppose we'll finish with this one. So, PJ, your proudest moment being involved with the club?
Oh, I'd say it goes back to, again, the winning the under 21A against Tommyvara in '99, because it came to a lot of hard work went into them fellas from under 10 up to under 21, and winning that certainly, and then getting to the North final in 2008. The pity was we lost it, but they were the two. Both occasions, it's nothing I have against Tommyvara, but it was a feather in your cap to beat them.
Yeah.
In those days, people saying Burgess had ever come near him. I remember coming out one day, we were after beating Killerwan, and Tommyvara was our next, and the Killerwan man said to me, "We're lucky that we won't be meeting Tommyvara next." And I answered him, I said, "We don't mind them." I said, "We're used to taking them on underage," but I told him, I thought I'd never hear a Killerwan man say that about.
Yeah.
I think he was too happy about it. But.
Yeah, I suppose that by the sounds of it, it sounds like that under 21 final was great, just because I suppose that journey of that last 8 years with them fellas coming up from.
Tommyvara had 8 fellas on that team. Tommyvara won the county senior final that year, and there was 8 of that team.
That's that year, yeah.
On that team that won the county, and they were beaten in the Munster club final. It was Paul McGrath, John O'Brien, Patrick Hackett, Paddy O'Brien, Benny Dunn, John O'Brien, Kevin Cummins. They were all over the place.
Yeah.
There was something like, and to some. I remember some people couldn't believe it, and I said it to a fellow above one night. I think we won the Junior B county title the same year, and some people we were going playing to them, and I said to them, "We'll rattle the senior medals in the Doomby's pockets Sunday," and they sort of laughed at me, but we did rattle them, and it was no fluke because we drew the first day and we beat them with the full squad the second day.
Yeah, even better. Very, very satisfying win. That's all we have. So thanks a million for taking the time.
Asking there. I see something about there was some great stuff. I'd like to mention some people that died: Liam Hogan, Johnny Reedy, John Kennedy, Paddy Gill, and Chris Coney, and Pat McGrath, and Matty Fogarty was a great worker. I remember when we had the auctions, and Donald Crowe gave us a ditch below in Gortmore, and there was butts of trees left. I think I broke my leg the same year. And Matty was below. He was like a ferret in the ditch. The roots were coming out. They went down to Gary Kennedy anyway. But I'd like to remember those people. They were great workers for the club and that. And that's it.
Yeah, and very nice to remember all them lads. Thanks a million, PJ, anyway, for taking your time out. And sure, hope to God I'll see you up in the field soon enough.
Okay, bud.
Thanks, PJ.